Hello, you're watching Rappler Talk. With me, I'm JC Gotinga. Malapit na po ang Pasko and you know what that means. At paparating na rin po ang Metro Manila Film Festival. And we are delighted that on the lineup of films for this year's festival is an adaptation of a musical that is an adaptation of an iconic film of the Philippine film canon. Is that the right term? I'm talking about Isang Himala, which is an adaptation of Himala. And with us today are the director of Isang Himala, Pepe Diokno. Thank you for coming, Pepe.
Thanks for having me.
And one of the lead stars is Bituin Escalante, who plays
JC.
Aling Saling.
Thanks for having us.
Hello, guys. Thank you for coming to Rappler. Welcome. It's always nice to have you.
Good to be
Is this
here.
your first time?
I think so. Maybe interviewed. I think so. Probably interviewed.
Studio.
Thanks,
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. First of many. Yeah. Okay, so we're curious to know what was the process of selecting. I mean, you had your MMFF debut yata last year. That's your first one, Gomburza, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Best director, second best film. And now you're back for...
Eee.
And it's pretty ambitious, no? It's a
Oh,
musical,
gosh.
right? So
It's a musical.
please talk to us about the process, choosing this material, getting started.
Well, after Gomburza, a lot of people were asking what's the next film, and whenever somebody would ask that question, the top of mind would always be for me Isang Himala. Because since I saw the staging in 2018 and 2019, which Bito was in, which Azel was in, directed by Ed Lacson and staged by Nine Works Theatrical, the Sandbox Collective, it was the most emotional, most visceral experience I've ever had in a theater. It made me laugh, it made me cry, and it left me with such lingering feelings that years after I saw it, it was still stuck in my head. So earlier this year, when the applications for MMFF were opened, I gathered the courage to ask Sir Ricky and Vince De Jesus, who wrote the libretto, if they would allow an adaptation, and I'm very grateful that they said yes. And we submitted, not really expecting to get in, but then when we did, really it was all cylinders go. We started, working on the film in July, and now it's December, and we're almost ready to show it. Almost.
Was that a comfortable time frame? Medyo, it's a little fast, no?
I called it nga, I say the audacity of it, really. But that's what you do when you find your passion project. It's all cylinders, eh. Nothing should stop you, and you should know how to fight for the things you believe in, and I'm so thankful that you believed in it so much and really took that chance, even with that time frame. Really, we'll see how possible it is to have such a time frame. I mean, fantastic.
So it's in editing now, or is it done?
We're doing so VFX. We're finished editing and doing VFX and the sound, which I think is very important to the film. But yeah, as Pito said, I don't think if we did not get into MMFF this year, I think it would have been a long shot for us to make the film.
Right.
And because MMFF is really the only time of the year where Filipino films are protected from competition from other cinemas. It's a good opportunity for us. It's really the only time of the year so far that Filipino film sort of flourishes, and there's the box office. And so yeah, so when we got selected, it was like, okay, well, we have to do this. And I was very lucky and very grateful that, first of all, the cast. So we have cast from the 2018 and 2019 staging. They know their characters by heart.
Even the 2005.
Even 2005, yeah.
The original, 2003.
Yes.
Our SEPA is from the original cast.
So yeah.
And yeah, we have so many Easter eggs, actually. So you really should watch.
Yeah, I'm excited. Honestly, I saw the 2005 one. I think that was already a restaging.
Yes.
It's 2003. The musical first came out in 2003. It was in the CCP. It got revived, if that's the right word, right before the pandemic. And the question is, how has the story evolved from the 1982 Himala? Because nasa part ng psyche ng Pilipino yung walang Himala, di ba? That scene of Nora Aunor, that pivotal scene with Nora Aunor is, iconic sa utak ng Pilipino. From your vantage point, what is new here?
Maybe just the language,
For one thing, it's a musical.
For one thing, it's
the
musical.
music. But classics like this don't really need much change. Maybe
Yeah.
technique, right?
But at the same time, I I really love the musical because I think Sir Ricky and Vince transformed the original film. First, if the original film was really more about Elsa, very Elsa-centric, the musical expands that, so it's really also about societal. It's really also about everybody in Kupang. It's about the relationship between Elsa and her mom, the relationship between Elsa and her two friends, Nimia and Chayong, and Elsa's relationship with the politics,
of village.
the greed and the corruption. So it's really more of a satire of society. And then the music just brings all of the emotions out. See, Vince De Jesus was saying about how he got the idea to do the musical. It's that he was watching the film and he noticed that there's so many silences in the film. The characters are communicating with their eyes and through silences. And he was thinking, what if I filled those silences with songs? What would Elsa say in her mind? So he wrote this musical to really bring out the inner thoughts and feelings of the characters. And Elsa in particular, I found very interesting with the musical because it's a darker Elsa that you see in the musical than it is in the original film. Darker in a sense
It's
that
voiced out eh. Her thought
voiced out,
process
yeah.
is voiced out.
she has a song called Gawin Mo Akong Sining,
Oo eh.
which is
Her intentions, the bottom line of the character is fleshed out. Whereas in the original, which is also magic because it's left to your imagination, it's all the silences. And it's beautiful.
very.
You think there's no translation of that message anymore. And then the musical comes in that fleshes it out from a different angle. And then now it's in a movie. I'm so excited to see how it's evolved from the musical into the film.
Between you're playing Aling Saling, you played her in 2018.
Yes.
But siguro okay lang naman ikwento, just a while ago, you told me na you actually were supposed to, or there was a plan for you to play Elsa in the 2000s.
There must have been a consideration because I remember having to make the choice between Elsa and Dreamgirls. And I had said yes to Bobby already. And also it's so daunting to make, to visit a Nora Honor role and make it your own. I don't think I was ready. And I think May Bayot was perfect for
She
it.
was gut-wrenching.
perfect for it.
I saw it. It's life-changing.
True.
That's why I'm excited about this, actually.
eh.
It's that memory from 2005. But please share with us yung process. So medyo mabilis siya, but then you already were able to sink your teeth into the role years ago.
Of Saling.
Of Saling,
Aling
yes.
Saling, yes.
Aling Saling. And is the choice of getting the actors in the musical do the film, was that like really the plan? Or parang, mabilis na, so I'll just get the...
No, it's the plan ever since because, well, first, it's the staging that really brought all that emotions and stirred my spirit. So I really wanted to keep that. And I was talking to Ed Lacson, the director of the last play. It was it took you guys a very long time to find the right mix of people and cast everybody. It was not just casting individuals, but casting an entire barangay that works together. So I wanted to preserve that.
Proper chemistry.
Yeah.
How did it feel for you?
For me, I think what we all had in common was a respect for the text more than anything. So we read the text, everything there informed us what the character was. And then it's just a matter of stepping into that character. There's no other way to do it. It's so intent bound, it's so character bound.
Right.
These things can't happen if it were written a different way, So galing ni Ricky D magsulat ng characters. That's the magic of Himala.
I think one of the main differences with the original film is Aling Saling, actually. Aling Saling in the musical is different from Aling Saling in the original film.
Parang Ed made it, I think it was also the 2018 difference from the 2003. Because Ed really wanted to make her an active character, like almost like a Greek chorus type, that she was witnessing every single interaction that Elsa had. She saw the bar scene. She saw some parts of the burol. So she was a witness to so much. that she's the audience.
Right.
She represents what the audience sees.
Right. And how is it different doing it in a musical na, it's 2+ hours straight up, and then for every weekend after, and now that it's a film na, you're in a studio and there's more like machinery going on. But there's always this thing na sinasabi nila na just because something worked or something did well on stage
Right.
will not necessarily translate. It's not
yes.
automatic, di ba? So for the actor, what work did that entail?
A lot of letting go of the work, actually. And parang theater is an actor's medium. It really is. We already had that luxury of threshing it out. We had these discussions in the dressing room because sometimes everyone's so concerned about, what about my shot? What about this story I'm trying to tell? It's not ours anymore. We have to hand it over to Pepe. It's really your story. So sometimes there's a conflict with the character when you're walking and you're asked to walk beside someone. Minsan, it's that simple, Blacking wise, you have to walk beside this person. But my character would never walk beside the character of Sweet, let's say. So socially, I would never. So we had these little micro things that really matter. And I'm so thankful that Pepe Direct is as collaborative as he is, because with other directors, that's just out, just do the blocking.
Do as I say. Yeah.
So maybe we made the process slower because of our...
No, not at all.
Diba? It's a pro and it's a con.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think you made the process so you made it richer, really, because I always said from the start that we were the new people in Kupang. We were coming into Kupang, and we defer to the characters that you've created. So one of the first things that we did before we started shooting was really to talk one by one to everybody. What's the backstory of your character? And then I think that
we had those.
also set the tone when something didn't feel right to you as a character, that you were free
That you could
to
say.
let us know. Yeah.
Right. Naisip ko lang bigla, so maybe some in our audience may not be that familiar kung ano yung premise nung Himala. So it's this little town, nondescript. It's a fictional town, di ba? Kupang. Although there are places in the Philippines named Kupang, it's not that Kupang.
In Alabang.
In Kupang exit. And then a maiden, a young woman, starts to claim having visions of the Virgin Mary, and then she performs miracles, and then it goes haywire from there. And ang dumating nga dun sa eksena where that iconic, walang himala, ang himala ay nasa puso ng bawat isa. Do you think Elsa, the character, really saw a vision? Or is that something na hindi nyo dinecide? Is that up, Because we never know, that, the story doesn't say if she was a fraud or if she was real.
Well, talking to Aisel, I think for her character, she believes in what she saw. That's that.
And also the way our directors have attacked it, Pepe and Ed.
Right.
They left the actors to decide whether they were skeptics or if they believed it, because it lends so much dynamic to the whole film or our interactions. I personally, as Saling, I'm skeptical, but I will support my child. I will give her what she needs when she needs it. So it's nice not to make that decision kasi societally naman, ganun din tayo, magkakaiba tayo.
And I think that's one of the beauties of the original film and of the musical, and it's something that we really tried to preserve for this one, that you can have your own interpretation.
Right.
And it invites you to enter Kupang as a viewer, to be one with the community. And being one with the community is having to decide what you believe in or what you don't believe in.
As a director, did you have to make a stand dun sa ganong aspect, on that question?
I did, actually. And coming into it, but personally was a skeptic. But the more I spoke to everybody who was already in Kupang, the more I opened my mind and my eyes to it. To a point where we were editing the film, and we actually had a version where it was very heavy on my personal view. and then we had screened it, and we realized that that's not what being a part of Kupang is. Being part of Kupang is not being force-fed a specific point of view. It's you being open to all different points of view. So that's what you'll see in the film. There's that mystery around Elsa that's super important to, I think, what the core of the film or of Himala is.
I also like the ambivalence of it because it's not a one-sided story. Like, you ended up not telling your story, right? You start from one point, and as a creator, you evolve.
Right.
During the process. So I like that about Himala. It's a growth curve.
Yeah.
All of it.
Why is this story important today? It was in 1982. Hindi ko alam kung nasabi ko na kanina. It first came out in 1982. It was an MMFF entry. And what a glorious thing that it was Ricky Lee back then. Ricky Lee was still involved in the musical. Ricky Lee is involved in the film of the musical. And I think that's just a glorious thing. Ano yung tanong ko? Ayun, why is it relevant today?
Well, unfortunately,
It's never really lost its relevance.
yes, it's never lost its relevance. The film is about faith, and it's also about blind faith. And the film is about how those two things affect an entire people or an entire society. And we're sort of just cycling between those two ideas. So it's, I think, as relevant as it was before, and I think also as powerful. And I think what I like about the material, which I think audiences are now ready for, is that we as audiences have also evolved our taste for or what we expect out of films and of characters. Now we're willing to accept characters that are a little bit more gray, less black and white. We're willing to accept we like dealing with complexities, and that's what the musical brings. It's really a complex Elsa, and it's a complex interplay of society. Yeah.
Why is religion a powerful metaphor? Because
Kasi ang hirap ng buhay. Ang hirap ng buhay. Maghahanap ka ng kakapitan. And when there's nothing, is your government there for you? Is your family there for you? You grab onto something ambiguous. Ganun na eh. Ano na lang yung makakapitan mo? And it's always there.
right.
It's just here. It's a matter of deciding, do I believe it today? Do I need it so much today that I'll go, oh God, help me, Because
Yeah.
mahirap ang buhay talaga. I don't think this would resonate in a highly developed country. If you set it in a highly developed country, I don't think you can set this thing in Berlin. You can't. Di ba? Hindi eh.
Yes.
I don't think you can situate it in Manila. Some parts, yes.
Yes.
Right? Ganun eh. It's the experience of where the creators are. We're here. We're so knee-deep in it. Neck deep in this politics of personality and manipulation and smoke and mirrors. It's so real. It's real.
Misinformation, truth, lies. Yeah.
Very interesting, yes, because diba, like you said, Elsa's character in Ernest, we believes that she did receive visions from the Virgin Mary, and yet things go out of hand. Something that is supposed to be pure and so potent, people were getting healed. Alam niyo na to, you would have, this is not a spoiler. Okay? Premise naman to ng pelikula. People get healed miraculously, and yun na nga, kaya isang himala, di ba? Miracles. And yet it becomes this whole sordid conflict.
It's the economy. Right? It's actually very enemy of the state.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
kung ano yung tumutulong sa komunidad nyo, yun din yung sumisira. Hindi ba? Parang,
Yeah. One of the with this film, the basis of it is really the libretto that Ricky and Vince had written, but we also went back to the original film, and actually there's some scenes that are in the film that aren't in the musical but are back in the film.
Good.
And then there are also some scenes that we had
Added.
added for the film. So it's still, very close to what the core of the film is, but added. And in terms of putting all that back into film, there was one idea, or parang one guiding principle that I had with Sariki. And because Himala is a tragedy. It's a tragedy about Elsa, also a tragedy about its intersecting tragedies of Elsa, her family, her friendships, and the people around her. And I said this very early on when we started reading the script, what is a tragedy? And in the Philippines, I think for Filipinos, we usually refer to tragedies as something na malas lang. It just so happened to have befallen upon you. But when you, for example, read Greek or Roman tragedies are always because of tragic flaws.
You see it coming.
You see it coming because of decisions
It's
that
a slow train wreck, sa totoo lang.
decisions that the character has made. And so that was one of the thoughts that we put on, looking at each character and thinking, what were the tragic flaws of Elsa, of Aling Saling, of Nimya, Chayong, and of the people around them? And I think that's very evident in the musical, and that's what's in our film.
Exciting.
Exciting.
I want to go to the decision to take on a musical because we were talking before we went on air with me and Bito na parang may baggage ang Philippine cinema when it comes to musicals because it's been kind of hit and miss. And then there are some
Even foreign musicals, right?
Yes, that is true. Let's not mention.
Like certain adaptations that don't translate well into film.
Yes.
They're big hits on Broadway. You think they'd be successful
Automatically
Tapos,
just because.
Pero hindi pa rin.
And yet we have, The Sound of Music, Fiddler on the Roof, My Fair
Wicked.
Lady, and now Wicked. We're witnessing, I guess, inarguable na
phenomenon.
success siya, right? What did you guys watch for when making this film? Ano yung mga binantayan nyo, or at least principles that guided you na parang musical to, and to succeed it has to be X, Y, or Z?
Truth.
Yes.
Truth talaga. I think that's what resonated with you with Ed Lacson's take. Ed Lacson did not want choreography. And I remember disconnecting. I love choreography, but for something like Himala, I would disconnect from the story when it became a production number. Because essentially, Himala for me was the story. It didn't need the effects or a dance number, a production number. It never needed that. And it's great that he could have done that with music in it. Because I do appreciate the music. I just didn't want things to turn into production numbers. And that's what happened with that 2018 run and with the movie. It never felt like it was a show or...
We have choreography, but it's non-choreography.
Yes, it's more like just blocking and
but
movements
it's very
into the
technical also because we have the same choreographer as the staging,
CJM Kabling.
Excellent, really great cinematographer, choreographer, movement.
choreography.
Because with film, there's an extra added layer of having to hit your marks for the focus, which
That's right,
Yeah.
yes.
ako at the end of the day, it's really truth and the story, our passion for the story and bringing the truth out in the story. I think that's really what audiences are looking for, a powerful story and a truth behind it. Ang dami nagsabi. Ang dami pa rin nagsasabi na ako musical, it's a little hard to sell, and it is. There is that baggage, quote unquote. But last year, they said the same thing to us when we were releasing Gumbursan. Ako, historical, walang manonood niyan, walang pupunta ng sinehan. They also said na your lead stars are not, big quote-unquote box office names. Nobody's gonna watch your film. And so when we when MMFF first started, we had one of the least number of cinemas. But I think audiences came in and they connected with the truth of the story, then they connected with the story. And the genre didn't matter to them, or the quote-unquote box office names didn't matter to them, because the story was what really, I think, what resonated with them. And so I'm very grateful to everyone who who really rallied behind the film and asked for it. And so we, from just 30 or 40 screens, we went up to 100. It's really because of the support of the people. And I think that showed us na Filipino audiences, and I hope are really looking for new, powerful experiences in the cinema.
I'll ask you again a bit later about having powerful experiences in the cinema, because to me it seems like we are in a good moment, I think, not just in cinema but also in theater, entertainment in general in the Philippines. But I also wanted to bring up the set, because that's also something I hope you've seen the trailer. It's visually compelling. I mean, did you shoot completely in a studio? Were there some parts on location? What was it like? Because to build this kupang, and kailangan siya, di ba, all the feels, di ba, mise-en-scène, ganyan yung, this whole, parang run downtown and no hope, and then suddenly, Visions of the Virgin Mary happen, turns everything around. I'm sure the set itself, the setting is something that has to drive the story. So please tell us about that.
Well, what really stuck with me with the 2018-2019 staging was, because it was very minimal. It was,
and in the round,
you in a dark room, and it transported you to a different place that you couldn't. It was very Filipino, but you can't really pinpoint it in the map. It can be yesterday, but it can also be today or tomorrow. Right. And so we wanted that same experience for the viewers for this film. And when we were doing preparations for it, I found out that si Soxy Topacio, who had directed the 2003 staging, had called Kupang Purgatory. Na parang it's like a limbo. So we wanted to have that same experience. Parang sabi nga ng production designer namin, hindi dito, hindi doon, hindi ngayon, hindi bukas. And so we created this world of Kupang. We were very inspired by the idea of scarcity in this town, but we were also thinking, why is there scarcity? And if we look at our world today, it's because of all of the devastation that we've done to our world. And so,
to our environment.
And so from there, the idea came now, what if it's not an agricultural town? What if it's a town that's been mined to death and situated up in the mountains? And that's where the thinking came from. So we built this entire barangay from scratch inside the studio. One of the main considerations, aside from that creative point of view, was really having to shoot the musical numbers, because we could already imagine the cast. Imagine if we had shot in location under the heat of the sun, right, with
a cast of singers who work mostly at the latter part of the year. So we would have been driving in and out of Ilocos or flying in and out of Ilocos.
Yeah.
That's a huge
imposition. Yeah.
Oh.
And so and then imagine maalikabok sa set, but it would have been worse on location. And then on location, we'd have to deal with the random tricycle coming in or the tilaok ng manok. So we built the set, able to enclose it, and so we were able to shoot. Actually, most of the musical numbers are sung live. And for me, because when I watched the 2019 play, it's really the performances of the actors.
Right.
The way they deliver the songs, the breaths, the cracks of the voice, those imperfections that tell the story. And if it was just all lip sync, you wouldn't get that authenticity or that realness from it. And so
the grit.
Yeah, the grit. So it was very important for us to record those songs live in an enclosed space, which was harder for them to do. But yeah, how was it like for you guys?
No, but just to translate into film, it's already harder because in a play, you just do it once and you're done. Ito may pick-pack pa yung camera di ba? Right. You have to take it from different angles, and then there's the discipline of continuity. Yes. So you have to know where your hands went, right, where you were angled. I mean, it's completely...
It's a million more little cues.
Right. So if you know how stage actors have this uppity thing about being
encumbered.
Ours is at the tougher art. Hindi, ibang klase rin si film.
Yes.
And the authenticity of doing it how many times and not losing the intensity of emotion, or starting not from zero. You start, from zero. Right. You start at the peak of emotion when you take. So it's like It's a completely different
Let's take it in the high
animal.
note.
Then you have to reset.
Oh, so yeah.
But another thing that doing it on a set was able to give us was because the marching orders, I think, for the cast and for the crew was really. I told everyone to express the emotions of the scenes. It's like when you watch a musical, as Vince said, you're really expressing what's in the deepest, darkest soul of the characters.
Vulnerable ka.
And everything can follow. So, like for example, when you watch La La Land, and Emma Stone is dancing with Ryan Gosling up in the mountain, and it's a love song, and parang sumabay sa love song yung sun. It's a beautifully pink and orange sky. So the lighting and the sets all come together to express this emotion. That's what we wanted to do for this also. So in a studio, we were able to really manipulate the world in a sense. Na when the songs are very heavy and emotional, it's like the sky follows suit.
Tinimpla nila yung langit.
Nice.
Or when it's a love song, or when it's a little bit light, also it follows. And then we were really able to play with light. And I'm
So exciting.
excited, yeah.
Because, I mean, if I may, pag pinanood nyo yung staging, the songs, the gut-wrenching songs, as in, front and center talaga yung...
Ano ba
The
nangyari
singing
kay Vince de
prowess.
Jesus? Bakit ganun siya sumulat
I
ng
know,
kanta?
like,
Diba?
yung
Mahirap, diba?
may kanta si Bito na you have to watch out for. Of course, Elsa's numbers, Chayong, I mean, everything. It's just,
oo.
Nimya, I mean, kung music lang, and Filipinos love music, and Filipinos love singing from the heart, gut-wrenching, ballad types or whatever. I mean,
It's
dun pa lang
there.
satisfying na siya right? Nakalimutan ko yung tanong ko.
Excite ka, no?
Na-excite ako. Ayun. Okay. Eto pala, magpa-plug muna ako. So, Rappler has a new app, everybody. It's called the Rappler Communities app. And really, our goal there is to create a safe space where people can read the news stories that are, relevant to us Filipinos and beyond, and also have a place where you can discuss it. Meron kami dyang mga chat channels, and one of them is the pop culture channel. So doon, if there's anything you want to add to this conversation, anything you want to ask us, more details about Himala and Isang Himala, please do download the app. Nandyan yung QR code sa screen niyo. And yeah, see you there. Okay, now going back to the conversation. We were talking about how,
music.
there's more, the music, and how there seems to be a hunger among Filipinos for more satisfying entertainment. With Gomburza, for example. A few years ago, General Luna. On stage, Pinky Ann, which you were a part of. It was a big hit. And nakakatuwa yun makita. What the conversation had been about the Metro Manila Film Festival maybe a decade ago. The landscape is pretty different now, I would say for the better. So how do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on it? What changed?
You know what it is also? It's really seeking discourse. Really, social media is so toxic. It's hard to have conversations around the things that we're going through. Whereas if you're talking about art, you're talking about Pinkian, Gomburza, Himala, your ideals are mirrored there. You can have the same conversations about things happening in those movies that are happening in real life and have a certain ambivalence about it. You don't know whose side you're taking on. It's just issues. It's just morals. Really, how you are. You can't have those conversations about real things anymore. That's why people want to see Gomburza. They can talk about the idealism of a young priest who knows how to fight for what he believes in. And we can have a discussion about that with people we don't share politics with, the same politics with. You can't have that about real things. So let's talk about art. Let's do this with art. Let's tell the truth using art. And then have a discussion. Because we need it. We're social beings. We have to have those conversations if we have to move forward as a country. We have that responsibility as artists, right?
Indeed, we do. Direct.
And yeah, with the film, want to impart the same experience that I had while watching the production, which was when I saw Himala on stage, it made me laugh. It made me cry, and it really left me with such heavy emotions that I needed to talk about it with others. And actually, after I watched it once, I invited my whole family to watch it again with me because I needed people to talk about it with, and to share that same experience and to see them also relate to the story was a good experience or a good feeling for me. And yeah, that's what I hope we give to viewers this MMFF.
How important, if at all, is the fact that it is a competition? There will be a best picture, a best actor, a best director. Is that something is that something you think about, or
It's extra noise. It's extra traction when you get attention because you have strong actors or great direction, fabulous production design, diba?
Right.
That's why sometimes a budget, that's why everyone's fighting for the budget, for the studio. But at the heart of it really is me, I'm done with the work. And I'm so happy with what I've given. I don't need that award. I don't need a nomination. I am really satisfied with the work. So I think that's my bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if we got nominations and awards, that's traction for it, right?
Right.
And that means more people will see it. That's the important part. I just want this to be seen by as many people possible.
Yeah, same. It does help in a sense that it gets more people to see it or more people to talk about it. But as a creative, it shouldn't be what drives you. And really, I think I will reach a point when the film comes out na you really need, I'll
You
really need to
go.
let it go talaga. Yeah.
anything else that you want to tell us about na I may not know about, so hindi ko natanong? Anything interesting, anecdotes you want to share about this?
You know what? That's a nice conversation to have on your Rappler communities page. Diba?
Everything else,
like,
the little...
like if you have questions, our cast, we have.
we'd love to have you for a
we have,
comeback. Yeah,
we have
sure.
a chat group that's
Yes.
so active because
Yes.
they can't help but talk about and the work and the process, diba?
I think that's a great idea.
So Rappler communities.
Noted with thanks. I mean, like you, I mean, not to make this about me, but like you, Pepe, when I saw it, all the feels, 2005, like that's why I'm excited about it, because it never left my mind. The themes like when Elsa, the story, Elsa feels betrayed by God because of all the misfortune that came after her, even after she devoted her life to the Virgin, to the Vision, right? I mean, who doesn't relate to that? Ayun, yun lang. Tapos na ako. But, yes.
Ako, just to answer that last question, maybe an invitation to
Yes, please.
to those who are watching, students or schools, because I am having the time of my life. We're doing a school tour for Isang Himala, and we're with Sir Ricky. And every time I'm beside Sir Ricky and he answers the question, it really brings tears to my eyes. I'm learning so much from the school tour. So if anybody else wants to invite us
for a school tour.
to their schools to for a talk back with us and Sir Ricky, or even to their communities, that would be great because we really need help to spread the word about this film. But yeah, si Sir Ricky is just such a well of kindness, generosity, of beauty, and just hearing him talk. Insight,
Insight,
super.
right?
Super.
So rich. It's ang daming characters living in him.
Yeah.
Ang bukas ng utak.
You know what he said about Ali Saling? And about why he tends to write a lot of female characters? Because it was in the context of advice that he gave to a student who would ask the question of like, where do I start as a writer? And he said, start kung ano yung mga puwang mo sa buhay. That's where you start. And for him, because his mother had passed away at a very young age. So in hindsight, he realized he was always writing his mother, always bringing his mother back to life through his female characters. So, oh my God, when he said that, tears.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and kasi Himala is so female-centered.
Yes.
It's really female characters. Feminine energy. And Elsa even has this line, tapos na ang panahon ng ama, panahon na ng ina. That's really,
But that's why it's so pliable eh. Kasi kapag patriarchal, matigas.
Uh-huh.
Ang babae, it's generations of adjusting and, diba? It's the Shiva dance.
And if I may note, dito rin in the story, it's the men who wreak havoc. It's the male presence who kind of, to a significant extent.
Oh, we women will own our part.
Yes. Yes. But ito, di ba, like, well, we won't go. Ito, magiging spoiler na eh. Spoiler territory na. But also how that thing, this feminine energy and how there's this masculine intrusion at certain points that are the turning points of the story. Anyway, do catch Himala. I assure you it's going to be a very satisfying experience. Thank you very much, Pepe Diokno, Bituin Escalante. Thank you for coming to Rappler.
Awesome.
Thank you. Salamat. Yun, so abangan niyo po sa Metro Manila Film Festival. It starts on December 25, unless the rules have changed, right? December 25, you'll be able to catch all the films of MMFF, including Isang Himala. Okay, maraming salamat po. Once again, I'm JC Gotinga. This has been Rappler Talk, and see you again po next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Break.